This video is going to be me and my two co-hosts talking about the first episode of House of the Dragon. Now, I consider myself a super fan. I'm very well versed in the knowledge of the Song of Ice and Fire, the Game of Thrones. I know what's going on. I watch a lot of the theory videos. The other two people that I'm talking to are, I guess, what you'd consider kind of normies. Both of them have seen Game of Thrones, this series, probably a few times. Rob has read the books. Andrew refuses to until George completes the series. So it's different levels of comprehension and love for the IP. So we definitely don't have a congruence or a meeting of the minds. We definitely had different reactions to Game of Thrones. So I think this discussion is kind of interesting and valuable to maybe see what's out there as far as people's reactions. Because I'm just frankly mystified by their reaction, and I think they were a little bit confused by mine since they were so different. One thing to note about this video, this is a relatively lengthy video. Normally, in all my other videos, I try to put up a lot of graphics and a lot of things to kind of keep it interesting and to illustrate the points being made. This was recorded on Tuesday, a few days after, the Sunday night premiere. If I put in all that work making it look pretty, by the time this thing came out on my channel, it would be time for the next episode again. So rather than do what I normally do, I kind of keep it a little bit static as far as the pictures. Apologies for that. Hopefully the discussion will be lively and entertaining enough to keep y'all interested. And let's roll that.
I'd say we, at some point here, have to discuss House of the Dragon, because if Andrew doesn't talk about it, he's going to shit himself. I haven't been letting him discuss it in the past couple of days. He keeps trying to come at me with different fan theories and shit, and I'm like, just leave it for the show.
Let's hold off on a little bit just to see if he actually does poop himself.
That's true. That's true. This might be more amusing just to see, if the pants actually get wet. Although he's sitting on, my couch.
Oh, I can see where that'd be a problem. That's the Game of Thrones theme. I don't know if you noticed that.
Masterful.
Thank you. Before I let you guys do a little rundown on what y'all thought of the season 1, episode 1 of House of the Dragon, the impression I got about House of the Dragon from you guys and a lot of people that I watch on YouTube, they were almost like Andrew was almost mystified that I was actually excited about it because he was there to witness and share in my reaction to season 8 and how horrible it was. And, when a show comes out and I see people on YouTube not willing to initially, before it's come out, really give it the benefit of the doubt, and they're just hating on it right away just because they've been burned so damn much. And I will say season 7 and season 8 of Game of Thrones is probably the biggest culprit. That burned the shit out of people. And yet, despite how much I hate what happened in season 7 and season 8, when House of the Dragon was announced, loved it. I've watched every little tidbit about it. I've been so damn excited. And I was trying to I was running around in my head trying to figure out why I felt different about this and I didn't feel burned. And I was actually very optimistic and hopeful. And I think what it comes down to, ultimately, no matter what happens on the television screen with Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, I, in my heart and soul, know that doesn't really affect the Song of Ice and Fire or House of the Dragon or what George R.R. Martin does, because the show, Game of Thrones, was not the fucking Song of Ice and Fire. It was fan fiction. It was fan fiction. It was approved and licensed and encouraged fan fiction by the author George R.R. Martin. But ultimately, it was fan fiction. Game of Thrones and what happened on screen isn't, at least in my head and in my heart, isn't the Song of Ice and Fire. It's cool when it worked out well. I love the show. I liked what they were doing. But ultimately, it's the things that happen in the book that matter to me. So no matter what happens on screen, it'll never really kill it for me. So that, I think, might be why I was very hopeful and hoping that...
now let me ask, after seeing the first episode, where's your excitement level?
I fucking love it. I can't get enough of it, and I can't wait for more, and I thought they did everything really, really well, but I'll get into my thoughts and feelings about that later. Y'all can go ahead.
So you're a tool, is what you're saying.
Are y'all going to talk bad about it?
Well, I'm going to let Andrew, because, he's going to explode if he doesn't get to talk about this. So go.
Well, I will say this. When it comes to hearing Rob criticize something, he's going to pick one flaw.
Oh, I have more than one.
And magnify that flaw to the point where he doesn't pay attention. Andrew, have you shit your pants yet?
No, I have not. I'm okay.
Okay, good. Then goal accomplished. You did well. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not that old yet, so thanks. I thought it was okay. ...
That's it? You've been bothering me for days.
Yeah, well, I'll watch more. It wasn't, it's okay. I liked Matt Smith. I thought he was like the only interesting character. The Hand was pretty good. I liked the King at the end when he started actually being like a king and he was like talking shit to Matt Smith and telling him like, just get the fuck out of the cap. I think it sets up a story for the season. We'll see. It seems like a much smaller scale than the first Game of Thrones. Two things I learned after watching it, which like I liked more, was when I saw the shots of the city, I thought the thing in the background was the big temple that Cersei blew up, but that's actually
you didn't know it's the dragon pit.
It's a dragon pit that's in ruins in Game of Thrones, so I liked that. And the other thing I missed on watching it was I didn't realize that the giant dragon in the basement, what's his name, Viserys?
Balerion? Oh, Viserys was the king.
Oh, that was actually his dragon. Like, I didn't realize that's why he didn't have a dragon that, like, it had passed on. So those are two little tidbits I liked. I think it's lining up really well. I am not a fan of prequels.
Real quick addendum to what you said. The ginormous freaking skull with all the candles in front of it that they had their little discussion, that is Balerion the Black Dread. He was the dragon of Aegon the Conqueror. He was the biggest fucking dragon anybody's ever seen. He was the only living thing that actually came over from Valyria when they made their...
Yeah, but apparently he was also this king's dragon as well.
Yes.
I guess it passed on to him because it was so old.
It kind of reminded me of the Ghidra skull from King Kong versus Godzilla that they were running Mechagodzilla from.
I'll have fun looking up clips of that to put on this. King Viserys did technically have and ride Balerion, the Black Dread. He did it one time, ever, and then never rode a dragon again. Viserys as a king in the books was more of like a placeholder where George R.R. was kind of like, this king was, he only rode a dragon one time, so it's not like he was a badass like Daemon, and it's not like he was really that decisive. He made him almost kind of like a blank slate just to get to the next scene, to get to the next action. So the fact that Paddy Considine, the actor who's playing him, was able to inject all of that awesomeness into his portrayal of him, I thought was really fucking awesome. I mean, the whole thing with the baby and the C-section, I thought he did that really well. The whole thing where he got pissed off at Daemon at the end after long-sufferingly putting up with him for all that time, I thought he really kicked ass. Most people say that he was one of the standouts by far, and I do agree.
Yeah, he was good. It's like I said, it was a competent show. It looked good. I do not think it's worth $12 million for that episode. Like, that really was not on the screen. Not when like RRR was done for like 30 million. Like, come on. You've ruined it, Matt. You've ruined everything.
Because of RRR's price tag, now everything else
because it's just so much cooler and sets up such an awesome thing. Like I was telling Rob yesterday as we were watching, I was like, I feel so much more for these characters than I did for anyone so far in House of the Dragon. So,
yeah, Rob review time here. Much like Andrew, it was okay. 6 or a 7 out of 10. Everybody was kind of a boring plank of wood, except Matt Smith and the King towards the end. Towards the end, the King, he really started developing a bit of a character. I liked that. Our supposed main character there, complete blank, nothing.
Yeah.
Who do you consider the main character?
The girl.
Oh, Rhaenyra.
With the overbite, yeah.
It's an underbite, but go ahead.
Whatever.
She's, kind of being presented as our hero figure and totally boring. Nothing from her. And she smells very suspiciously like a Mary Sue. I'm very worried she's going to be another Rey Skywalker because so far there's nothing she doesn't do perfectly. And now that they've realized her awesomeness, they've nominated her to be queen. Thank God, it's about time.
Okay, let me break in with something that I'm going to try to keep you from being spoilery. But the fact that you have not read Fire and Blood lets me know that statement more than any other. Tell me you haven't read.
Well, the fact that I haven't read it, so I'm judging it by what they put on screen, and what they put on screen is a boring piece of wood. She had no arc, no character arc at all.
It was the first episode. It was a day. It was one day.
I know, but Matt Smith's character is initially intriguing.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be intriguing with that fucking role. That's George R.R.'s favorite character out of all the characters
really?
he wrote. Yes.
But being, as you had mentioned before, being burned so many times before, I'm very suspicious about where this is going. She smells very Mary Sue to me. And all hail Rhaenyra, or whatever the hell her name is.
Rhaenyra.
Yeah. Boy, she's so great and super and better than everybody else at everything.
This is good to hear, I think, because the fact that you have no idea what's coming is fun. That's fun for me.
Okay. Maybe she'll turn out to suck.
Maybe
and
we'll be
awesome.
pleasantly surprised. And
yeah, maybe she'll have a character flaw or something. Something that'll give her a little bit of humanity.
Let me ask you this. George R.R., not so much even the show, but George R.R., when he's writing characters, does he write characters that are 100% good or 100% bad? Or does he
absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's why I was worried. That's why I'm worried.
To temper y'all's expectations, like really, really try to think back to when you watched the first episode of Game of Thrones.
Yes, that was going to be my second point.
Did that much shit happen in that first episode? They were introducing the characters, they were setting shit up. If you didn't know who all these people were because you didn't read the books, you're trying to keep it all straight. Did all that much happen? No. I mean, what they do? They humped at the ending and threw a little boy out the window. But up until that
that's
point,
fucking awesome.
yeah, and I didn't know anything about the show, and I went in as like I heard it was like an adult themed like fantasy. I'm like, oh, I'm on board. Maybe hopefully it'll be as good as like Conan the Barbarian. And when they threw the kid out the window, I'm like, oh shit, like they went there. That's awesome. I'll watch more of this.
And here's my point in comparing the first episode of real Game of Thrones and the first episode of this. This comes out, you have maybe 1.5 interesting characters. It's Voyager. It's fucking Star Trek Voyager. The original series comes out, in the very first episode, there's like 6 people you want to know more about. You want to know more about Ned Stark. You want to know more about Tyrion Lannister. You want to know more about Cersei. You want to know more about Jaime. You want to know more about all of the... Jon Snow. He's freaking interesting as hell in the first... Everybody is exciting and dynamic, and...
Jon Snow was boring as shit in the first episode. Stop it.
He had a great conversation with Tyrion in the stables.
Bastards and... Yeah.
That, like, sort of set up both of their characters, and it was a really cool conversation, and like nothing you'd ever seen before in a fantasy series about dragons. And I was intrigued, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in. I must know more about these people. This one, the people are just there.
All right, so Rhys Ifans playing Otto Hightower. The fact that he began as the wacky roommate in Notting Hill, and then became the devil in Little Nicky, and now he's doing this. That's kind of awesome. He played a certain amount of strength, power, malevolence, even though he's not really evil.
He was blank.
Oh my God.
He was the good guy. Oh, here's the good guy.
He's not a good guy?
This is what I'm getting from the first episode.
Okay, God damn it.
He's the honorable man, the one who will be inevitably outwitted and tricked by the, more devious ones around him.
This is the one that sent his daughter to hump the king in his time of grief?
Yeah, exactly.
What, he saw an opportunity.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that. That was the only thing I found that he did even mildly interesting.
I like her, too. I actually liked that character. She's probably my third favorite so far.
Alicent? Yeah, she's...
She did fuck all in the whole show.
That's because now's not her time. She's going to become one of the most important characters by far in the whole
Stop
series.
ruining it for us.
I'm not ruining shit. How do you not know this?
Maybe she's gonna die like in the next episode. We don't know.
That was another hilarious thing about watching this. Yeah, number one, everybody's got plot armor now. You can't kill any of these characters. Number two, it was just hilarious watching it with Andrew because he was on constant trigger alert. He just, every time the 2 girls were within 5 feet of each other, they're lesbians. Lesbians. There they are. They're gonna make out. They're lesbians. He was just so ready to be triggered.
Damn, Andrew, you've been so battered and beaten about by the last few years of television in Hollywood.
Exactly.
Well, I was afraid because I normally would just think, they're just good friends, and then like it'll get to episode. I know I've looked into it, so I'm fine with it now. But I would wait for like episode 7, and then out of nowhere they'll start making out. Like we were really enjoying our flag means death. And then it gets to like the second to last episode and it just went off a cliff.
The gay ambush. Yeah, that was a serious gay ambush.
That was really weird. That was weird. That was a big ambush. That killed the whole show for me.
It did. We haven't gone back since. Yeah, I really enjoyed the show. But
it's not out of protest. I just don't care anymore. It's like, oh, fuck this.
Yeah, I just didn't believe that. Like, the levels of hotness between the two guys was way off. I don't believe that fucking Blackbeard would have ever gotten with fucking Stede Bonnet.
Oh, he can do so much better.
I know, Jesus Christ. But yeah, it started out as like a really great show, and then it kind of just veered off course. But you don't have to worry about too much of that in House of the Dragon.
Yeah, I know. I like I said, I looked into it, and then I was like, oh, okay, I can just sit back and relax and enjoy this. They're not going to try to beat me over the head with.
And it's just fine if it makes sense for the character.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's when they shoehorn it in. That's what.
All right, we're getting off topic here. That's not happening between these two characters. That is not happening between these two characters.
I'm disappointed that Andrew looked it up because it was hilarious. The constant trigger alert.
Well, no, now I won't be complaining through every episode, so that's also a plus.
I feel like I always recommend Rob, and I always like lambaste him about not watching The Wire. I feel like if he actually acceded to my request and watched the first episode of The Wire, he'd be like, oh, it's fucking boring. They're all planks of wood. Yes, it's the first fucking episode. They're not giving you everything fucking sitcom or series style or pilot style, everything all bundled up, and there's some subtlety going on. There's some unveiling over time.
I get that, but I also am a person who has seen the first episode of the original Game of Thrones.
I don't know if you've seen it recently. I don't know if you've seen it that recently.
I actually have. It is.
Was
so
everybody
much...
that awesome?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Then again, that was not the first pilot. They apparently went back and redid a bunch of stuff because they had failed so miserably the first time. So.
Whatever they ended up putting on screen, it worked.
Yeah,
and
it did.
It didn't work for House of the Dragon. It wasn't a complete fail. It was not a waste of my time. I didn't get angry at the show and throw things at the TV as I want to do sometimes.
Maybe I just built it up too much for you guys.
I didn't stalk off in the middle of it like I did with Sandman.
It's not that you built it up too much. Nothing has happened yet for us to be like, oh God, this is amazing. Like, let's get into the story some more and let everything percolate and move to some sort of event. No events happened except them like running through the streets, which actually editing wise, I found that a little off-putting.
Running through the streets?
Running through the streets? What?
And killing all the people overnight.
When I liked that.
Damon got a little freaky.
I did, but they didn't set up like who these people were, why they're just attacking everyone. Like, do you just attack anyone in the street at night because they're all thieves?
Yeah,
like
they were lowlives and rabble. They obviously went into the criminal quarter of town and just started knocking some heads in. I like that.
They could have said like we're heading to Flea Bottom or something.
And one of them actually looked at a dude and said, "You rapist!" And then they cut his penis off. So it was the town guard who knew the usual suspects going and rousting the usual suspects, but
doing what's going on? So that could have used another like 1 minute of like footage to kind of establish that.
For the dumbasses, I guess.
It wasn't bad. It just was a little like jarring.
All right. So let me ask you some questions. Did you get the understanding that Daemon was an inconvenient presence for Otto Hightower and he constantly was trying to give him all these bullshit jobs?
Well, they pretty much wrote that in large flaming letters and presented it to us.
So that came out. Okay. Did you get the impression or the knowledge that Daemon was given charge of the town guard, the rabble of shitty ass policemen, and made them into this like unified, powerful
army? Yeah, he made them the gold cloaks and they're all loyal to him.
Yeah. They said that, man. They said that. These aren't subtle things. They talked about this in council.
I don't know how well y'all pay attention to these things. I don't know how I don't know how people come at this when they don't know what's going on.
There wasn't anything to get. They told us.
I don't know if these things translate.
We sit in front of the television and just focus on the television when it's on.
The fact that you think Rhaenyra might become fucking Rey Skywalker means that you don't know what's going on. So that's you only know what they've been showing you.
Yeah,
I get that.
Yeah,
I get that.
I know what they're putting on screen.
It came off very much like they're trying to do Dany 2.0, so everyone loves her.
Well, no, she was interesting, and she had flaws, and she had a character, and she had an arc. This one is a plank of wood. She's done nothing, and she's awesome at everything. She's Captain Marvel.
For now. We'll see.
If only she would stop being oppressed by the patriarchy, she could really attain her full power and really show the world that girls can get it done.
I feel bad that y'all have so much scar tissue built up by what's been going on.
I wonder where that could have come from.
Well, we all know where it came from.
And
this isn't
Matt,
yeah,
you know
what?
the story as it was written, but that doesn't mean they're not gonna like jump you now and turn it into all that.
Gay ambush is gonna happen. I called it.
Officially, it's called a gambush, game bush. But anyway, the story wasn't written. It was a loose framework. Fire and Blood is not a story like Game of Thrones.
I know what the overall plot is.
Most of what's being said, most of the words that are being said, most of the actions they're taking are because of the showrunners, because of the writers. So they do have a lot of leeway in filling in the blanks, and there are a lot of blanks.
They'll fill it in with gayness.
Jesus Christ.
They've already wedged a black guy into there. Although I like him. I do like his character.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
But, you know,
Yeah,
they're
like
sitting around in the council chamber, and I'm like, is anybody going to comment on the fact that there's a black guy here? Anybody notice? Am I the only one seeing this?
Should we call security?
Well, it's just weird. Why is he a Targaryen? How did that happen?
Before the Targaryens, 200 years before Aegon and his conquest, decided to go to Dragonstone and avoid the whole blowing up of Valyria, the doom of Valyria, the Valerians, apparently the Black family, had already set up shop off of Westeros. And they were shipping people, they were not dragging people. So here's the thing. You can call bullshit and say there's no way this makes any sense. Or if you want to fit it in, there's a way you can fit it in. The fact that they're so whirly and they do a lot of trading, there's another group of people who are also the Summerlanders. They're shipping people, they're trading people. These two shipping trading powers would have had hundreds of years to intermingle, which they probably would. So it's not at all weird.
He clearly traded with the actor from the second Matrix movie for his wig.
Are you talking about the twins?
Yeah.
Two of them, they were twins.
Yeah, they were, yeah.
It's not entirely unheard of, although there is a really important plot point that comes up later on about accusations of infidelity, where the fact that the kids would either be black or white, that actually is kind of a big deal. So they might have stepped on their own dick by making the Valerians black. I don't know.
It's just, I don't know. It's just weird. And the reason it's taken me so long to mention it is I like the actor. He was fine. If that was the only thing weird that was going on in the episode, I would have zero problem with it. He was good. I liked his
for the little
intensity.
bit they actually let him.
Yeah.
Well, he, even at this point of his life, is this like blazing fucking badass with this like record of awesomeness, the travels, the adventures, the wars, the legends. He's a fucking badass.
Kind of seems like something you could make a show about.
Funny you should say that. They actually are talking about developing a show about him. So,
Oh, what, in his younger days?
yeah, he's done some shit. He tore shit up. All right, so this is probably good. I was thinking like I need to find somebody else who's also a Game of Thrones like retard like I am. They could like geek out with me over it. But this is good because as the season progresses, we're going to talk about this more, and I want to see how y'all change, because right now y'all are pissing me off. But I think,
sorry.
We'll see if I change.
Yeah. There is nothing in it that like offended me. Like I just want more to happen. Like I was not like, oh my God, I can't wait for the next episode. I'll watch the next episode. Okay, I'll keep up with this.
I just I don't want to call it intellectual honesty, because you're not being dishonest. I think it's intellectual awareness. If you really went back to the first episode of Game of Thrones that you watched, the very first season 1, episode 1, at the end of it, you probably weren't like, fuck yes, fuck yeah. I mean,
It blew my mind. The fact that it, like everything was gritty and dirty, and like it was just like a serious like thing with all the intrigue. Absolutely loved it.
Do you not see the intrigue going on here?
It's
No,
starting.
I don't. It's the intrigue I see is big and obvious. And it's like, oh, here's a good guy, here's a bad guy, and hopefully
There's no good guys. There's no good guys. You thought Otto Tower...
Hold on. The other thing you're forgetting is the scope in the first episode set off amazing things. First, they showed the White Walkers attack in the north, so you knew that there was a threat. Then they showed some of Westeros. They showed some of Dany at the nice palace with the guy and the brother and stuff. And you got like an idea of this like whole world, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. This is very self-contained. It's like a small little family squabble. And that can be good. What I told Rob after the show ended, I said it doesn't even have like the power and the intrigue of like the show The Great.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, with all them all scheming against each other, and you don't know what the hell's gonna happen.
Yeah, The Great was a way better first episode than this.
Yeah,
This show is essentially a family squabble. That is what it is. That's all you're going to get. It's a family squabble.
but we'll see, and we'll see if they can make that interesting. It can be interesting, but so far I'm like, we'll see what happens.
All right, now let me ask you this. The last couple of minutes when they're doing their whole Godfather thing with like the music and they're showing all these different scenes and Viserys is revealing to his newly appointed his heir Rhaenyra about the Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh my God, we groaned and we were so annoyed and we just went, oh Jesus! Like when they said,
You thought they're doing like a fan service callback.
No. What I hate, as a general rule in any story, I fucking hate a prophecy. Fuck you and your prophecy. It's the laziest.
He does.
Piece.
He absolutely hates. I turned to Rob. I said, "You love that, Rob. It's a prophecy."
For fuck's sake! I mean, it's just the laziest piece of story writing. The prophecy. Who? What? When has a prophecy ever benefited anyone? Prophecies don't do anything. I mean, it's just such a slapdash way to stitch your story together. Did the original Game of Thrones have a prophecy? They didn't need that crutch.
It had multiple prophecies.
And they were all wrong, and it led to nothing but disaster and people dying, which was
Cersei went to, what was her name? Mary the Frog, or where the fuck her name was when she was a little girl, and the little girl told her those things. So she was guided by fear from that prophecy, and that shaped her into who she became, that fear of that prophecy. The entire reason that there were Targaryens ruling over Westeros was because of a prophecy.
Here's a question you ask yourself whenever they bring up a prophecy in any story, as they often do. Who the fuck is out there making prophecies? Where do they get off? Who is this great authority on prophecies, and why aren't we talking to them right now?
That's a silly question.
Who, which ancient purveyor of wisdom has dispensed this knowledge into the world and then apparently vanished? And why?
Told you, actually. He said the guy had a dream one time.
Yeah, Aegon the Conqueror had a dream.
Yeah, I had a dream. I had a dream last night that I was fucking 350 pounds and getting fatter every day.
My dream last night had Betty White in it and all the Marines from Aliens, but they were all their current age.
Don't lie. It wasn't Betty White. It was B. Arthur.
I didn't remember that dream until I just said it right now.
The Valerians know that they have certain powers and abilities, right? With their whole being dragon lords and ruling dragons.
Maybe they just have an interesting technique on how to train a dragon.
I'm not done talking.
Okay,
I'm not done talking. A couple of hundred years before Aegon had this possibly prophetic dream, his entire family was saved by Daenerys the Dreamer, a little girl who said, Daddy, I had a dream that fucking Valyria is going to explode. We need to run away. And it actually worked out well. The dad acceded to, acknowledged, believed the prophecy, and that saved his whole fucking family. So, a couple hundred years later, Aegon has this powerful dream. That's what I'm saying. That's where it came from. Aegon, Daenerys.
It's a prophecy in a story is like the Force. You can do whatever you want with it. It's a lazy crutch.
I literally groaned out loud when he said it was a song of ice and fire.
You would, and I know why you would, because it seems like they're going ding. That's the name of it. Seems like that.
Did you see Littlefinger's dagger? Hey, look at this. And hey.
I'm glad you saw that, actually. I'm glad you saw that.
Andrew did. I'm not as much of a fanboy to notice.
Okay, so...
Oh, Rob, there's something else. Remember when you were commenting about the joust and you said it was stupid that the guy was using a sword against armor? That's actually Valyrian steel, so it did have a possibility of cutting through the
Word. That was fucking Dark Sister. God damn it.
Yeah, Dark Sister. That's like their ancestral sword.
One of them.
Whatever. You're going up against a guy wearing full plate. You want the Morning
I
Star.
like the heirlooms. I like that they have like these like a +1 sword and shit. Like I pay attention to stuff like that in shows.
Valyrian steel was never going to be made again. It was like Bitcoin. Once they hit 21,000, they're never going to make any more. But you didn't like the sword against armor.
My point was the guy with the Morning Star had a serious advantage because that's a way better weapon to bring against plate armor than a longsword. If you're fighting somebody in a heavy plate, you want a crushing weapon. And you're not going to get that out of a sword. You know more about swords than I do, Matt, so pontificate away.
He has a magic fucking sword.
Magic sword. Okay, magic sword. Magic sword wins, I guess.
Dude, you saw Jon Snow with a fucking magic sword, what he could do with it. He tore shit up with a magic sword. He killed actually, no, Arya did, sorry. All right, so I'm glad y'all aren't as enthusiastic because I want to see how this develops over time. Plus, you guys are more okay. Andrew more knowledgeable than the average D-bag. Rob kind of the average D-bag when it comes to the show. So I'm getting multiple tiers of pre-existing knowledge and pre-existing enthusiasm. So I think this is good. All right, so let me ask y'all a question. You guys both have, at the very least, watched every episode of Game of Thrones, at least.
Oh,
once,
absolutely,
correct?
yes.
Yeah.
Read the books?
No.
Oh, yes, absolutely. The books are amazing.
Andrew, you said you're going to wait
If they
until
finish the books,
George
I'll read
finishes the books. Okay.
My theory is he actually finished them, and they're going to be published after he dies.
Which is actually my theory, and Andrew has appropriated it.
No, I came up with
Here's a counter, not a counter theory, but maybe something that'll go against that. If you were George R.R. and you had finished the books, he's got 2 more to go. Wouldn't you release one right now? Like right now, or maybe a week ago?
I would say no, because he doesn't want to hear about it on the internet. Everybody's got to have an opinion, and he doesn't want to fight about it.
He's already sick of it, yeah.
So all the criticism and everything could like fly over his head because it'll be 6 feet under.
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly. He does not want to fight about
He's
it.
hanging out and getting paid to do so many projects now. What the fuck does he care? I bet he got it done during COVID. I really do believe
He's
he got
getting
the whole
all
thing
kinds
done.
of Comic-Con tail right now, and doesn't want to rock that boat.
God, you'd have to be one hell of a fan to do that. I guess for an 80-year-old man, he's living the rock star lifestyle. So I don't know. Whatever.
Is he 80?
I don't know.
He's been toiling away in obscurity most of his life, and suddenly at the end of his life, he's super famous. He is trying very hard not to rock this particular boat.
Yeah.
You think it's all good? He's got them all done.
I think he's done, yeah. He's been done for years.
I hope he has pulled a huge prank on the world. Yeah, I do. I think that would be great.
I hope so. I think y'all are giving him too much credit, as much as I love him.
It's got to be in his will, release this one on this date and this one on that date.
Just because of how fast he can write and get stuff done, and he gets the wild card books done.
Because he doesn't write them.
Oh, he doesn't?
No, he's the anthology supervisor, so he's involved.
Oh, I thought he wrote all of them.
Most of them have other authors.
Oh.
But it's his world, his vision. He's like the showrunner for the Wildcard series.
It's like Larry Niven in the Manx-Zen Wars.
Yeah.
Which they just put out number 14. Yeah.
Did they?
Or 15, I'm sorry, 15.
How old is Niven?
Niven, I'm surprised, is still alive.
He's got to be up there, right?
He is got to be pushing 90.
Yeah, he's getting there.
One more observation I have to make. How did Matt Smith get so built? Holy shit, I thought he was wearing like a muscle suit or something.
You didn't see him in Morbius? He's been working out.
No, I didn't watch Morbius. I got better things to do with my time. Fuck that shit.
You don't know that it's Morbin time? No, but he's been working out.
He is ripped. I saw him with his shirt off, and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, when he was so scrawny in Doctor Who, I was really impressed. Yeah.
Well, even in Doctor Who, he might have appeared scrawny, but then they had one scene where a soccer ball came near him. And Matt Smith is a hell of a fucking soccer player. Or I guess football, he'd call it. Yeah. And you see him on the show, actually kicking the ball around. And I think he's always been very athletic. I think it's always been a very svelte athleticism. I think he's always been a lot more athletic than his Doctor Who outfit has portrayed.
I was just looking for evidence of a seam, where they had, mapped his head onto somebody else's body or something. But
Making a few videos, I've got some pictures of him working out and stuff like that. And he's pretty damn jacked.
He did a fantastic job. Like, I am super impressed. It's like the best acting I've ever seen him do. Oh, my brother had a hot take that no one has mentioned about the Game of Thrones episode. He feels he's very upset that everyone just does fast fucking now. That no one has like some Barry White equivalent in the Game of Thrones.
Foreplay is very important in love making.
He wants like a Tommy Wiseau love scene, like a
Yeah.
Where he's banging her in the belly button. Yeah.
Yeah.
and it takes like 5 awkward minutes for the scene to.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus. Well, I think one of the things that when they were making this show, they got a little bit of criticism about how gratuitous and slightly graphic the first season was. So they're like, yeah, we're toning it down a little bit. We're not putting anything too gratuitous in there. So
Yet another reason to slag on the show.
well, I mean, they'll show Daemon Targaryen chopping a dude, or I guess one of his men chopping a dude's dong off and throwing it on a barrel head, but you don't actually see the chopping of the dong. You just see it ending up on the barrel head. So
The other minor quibble I have is his fancy helmet he had with no faceplate.
That was my quibble. Once again, you're appropriating my
Oh,
ideas.
and he had no neck guard either. That's the other crazy thing not to
for
have during
jousting, it was a silly helmet. For other ceremonial functions and just generally walking around being a Targaryen, it's almost requisite. I mean, if you see like any of the Dunk and Egg comics, graphic novel type situations, Targaryens have some like really dragony stylistic helmets. So his wasn't absurd, but yeah.
But why did it preclude a faceplate?
You'd think when he was jousting, he'd get a different helmet. He did not. So there's that. They probably should have had that.
They did that because he's a named actor and they needed to show his face.
He needed to throw his dick down on the table in front of Otto fucking Hightower. And that's what he did by fucking up his son. And then immediately going and asking the favor of Otto Hightower's daughter.
Yeah.
That's true, and I also could not stop thinking of Bubba Smith the entire time when they were talking about Otto
Because Hightower?
Yeah. Every time they brought his name up, I was just picturing that.
That's the weird thing about the Game of Thrones Song of Ice and Fire is the Hightowers are almost non-existent, and yet they're like such a fucking presence in like everything. Like the Maesters, they exist at the sufferance of the Hightowers. They are in Old Town, the biggest, oldest, most famous city before the conquest. The Hightowers have like this like whole mystical background. The Hightowers were the shit. And yet, if you watch Game of Thrones and that's all you know about it, you don't know that Otto Hightower is actually kind of like swinging a big dong around. You don't know.
And if you fuck with him, he'll flip your police car over.
I've already got that clip queued up. I've already got that from a previous video. So
Nice.
And that'll do it for today's video, guys. Thanks for going on this journey with us. Let me know how you liked it in the comments section. And also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel as we bring you more thoughtful and intriguing content in the future.